Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today is July 4th, and I'm so excited. Not only is this the birthday of the United States of America, more importantly today, it is the release of Stranger Things Season 3, and I am super hyped about that. It's time to get into the upside down, right? I'm so excited about this. So today, as a celebration of the release of Stranger Things Season 3, I am going to map the 12 most interesting 2020 U.S. primary presidential candidates to the 12 most interesting Stranger Things characters. Now, why on earth would I do this, right? Two reasons. There's two good reasons to do this fun exercise. Three reasons. One, I already said, we're celebrating the release of Stranger Things Season 3. And then the two other reasons are bi-directional knowledge flow and attracting muggles. Let me define those two. So bi-directional knowledge flow. When we look at the 2020 U.S. primary Democrat candidates, in the light of the Stranger Things intellectual property, the light from that Stranger Things reflects differently on those candidates, and it shows us different pieces of knowledge. It lets us see it in a new light. And it's the same for Stranger Things, right? If we look at Stranger Things, reflected from the light of the 2020 U.S. presidential candidates, it allows us to understand Stranger Things in a new way and to get new epiphanies, new pieces of knowledge about Stranger Things. I love bi-directional knowledge flow, okay? The other one is attracting muggles, and this is a big one, all right? Almost everybody listening to this channel, they're a political wonk. They are interested in politics. They have some interest in politics at some level, U.S. politics, right? I get that. I love all of you, right? I'm a political wonk myself. I love this stuff, right? But there are people they're muggles when it comes to politics. They don't like They don't like politics. They're like, I don't like those wizards. like muggles is, so they're muggles, right? They just don't like politics. It ain't their thing. They don't want to deal with it, right? So with that said, when we do something like this, when we take the 2020 U.S. presidential primary Democrat candidates and map them to an intellectual property that's a pop culture media property, it allows us to get a chance. It's only 1 in 100. I think 1 in 100 viewers will be coming purely to see something that is new and different about Stranger Things. And if you're doing that and you're a muggle, welcome. We're glad to have you, right? And we want to show people that politics can be fun. And so this is my attempt to make politics a little bit more fun. And the reason why is I want people who don't vote to vote, even if they vote against me. I would rather somebody vote against me than not vote, because this is America. Voting is awesome. American blood was shed for our right to vote. I will never let an opportunity pass, and no one else should. And I want everybody to vote as much as possible. I say, fie to gerrymandering. I want everybody to vote. Everybody, right? And so this is just my attempt. If you're a muggle out there, you don't really like politics, but maybe you like Stranger Things, hear me today. Maybe there'll be something fun for you. And I encourage you to join me in 2020, in November, to vote for Andrew Yang. or whoever you choose. All right, let's get into it. All right, so let's start talking about the Stranger Things characters, okay? So one, there's Joyce's family. So it's Joyce and her two sons, Will and Jonathan, okay? Will and Jonathan are brothers, right? Will is a junior high age kid, and he is friends with Mike and Lucas and Dustin, okay? And Will's a great kid. His mom is Joyce. She is a frazzled single mom who works, right? So Will and Jonathan are both like latchkey kids, right? Jonathan is Will's older brother, okay? And he listens to The Clash. He's kind of cool, right? But they're a family, all right? I love this show so much, all right? So in the 2020 U.S. primary candidates, who is Joyce? Joyce is so Marianne Williamson, right? And here's why. She wants to believe, right? She believes these things that are really out there that nobody else believes. She believes in the spirit world. She believes that there's something beyond the natural. She believes in the supernatural. She wants to believe. And Marianne Williamson is absolutely Joyce, right? All right, what about Will? Who's Will? Will is Amy Klobuchar, okay? Now, why is Will Amy Klobuchar? Well, Amy Klobuchar, she has done such a great job. She works so hard. She's really good. But where the heck is she, man? She has dropped so far back in the polls, you can't see her past Gabbard, past Gillibrand, past Warren, past Harris. She's nowhere to be seen. You might even say she's in the upside down. Just like Will was in the upside down, right? Nobody could find him. He was missing. And that is Amy Klobuchar. She is missing. She is in the upside down, right? You just can't see her, right? There's just like, she's definitely in the upside down. All right, what about Jonathan? Jonathan's this cool dude. He could drive. He's got this protective older brother vibe. He listens to The Clash. He's grumpy. There you go. That's Sanders, right? And here's the other thing about why he's Sanders, right? He's kind of grumpy, kind of like got this like kind of angsty teen angst kind of vibe, and he really, he just kind of says "fi" to the world, right? And that is very much Bernie Sanders. And here's another one, right? Boy, I'll tell you, I am not going to vote for Bernie Sanders. I got a lot of problems with some of his policies, but he has got a level of cool. He really does. Just like Jonathan, he is a cool dude, right? He's got some pushback, right? I love his Bernie Sanders angsty vibe. He's a cool dude. He's been doing it for 30, 40 years. He serves this country in a unique way. And I have a mad respect for how he has won the Bernie Bros, how he's won a whole bunch of people, the Feel the Burn movement, and just like his journey, man. I got respect. He is cool, just like Jonathan, okay? All right, let's talk about another family within Stranger Things. So you have the mom, Karen, and her son, Mike, and Mike's sister, Nancy, all right? So Mike is the king. He is the key leader of our core four in Stranger Things, right? The four core friends in Stranger Things are Dustin and Lucas, Will, and Mike, okay? The whole thing opens with them playing Dungeons and Dragons. Boy, am I excited about that. And so they're the core, right? Well, so you got Mike, and Karen is Mike's mom, right? And then Nancy is Mike's older brother. All right, so let's talk about these people. All right, who is Mike? Mike is the coolest character in Stranger Things, bar none. He is king of the nerds, right? He has this little friend group, but he leads that friend group. They follow him. He shows respect and he shows kindness, right? He shows love for every single one of them. He would die for any of his friends. And he is the dungeon master, right? That is Andrew Yang to a T, right? In this election, in this primary, Andrew Yang is the dungeon master. Everybody else is players, right? That dude's got this on lock. I really feel he understands. He is playing the game at a different level, right? UBI is a pure Mac move. It is like $1,000 to every living American adult. And, that is next level play, right? And I think he's running the game. Andrew Yang is running the game, right? So, and the other thing, I love that idea of King Nerd. Like, that is Yang, right? Yang is King Nerd, right? Andrew Yang, is my favorite candidate. Mike is my favorite dude in Stranger Things. They are locked. That's the two, right? Who is Karen, Mike's mom? That is Beto O'Rourke, right? He's there. He serves a function, right? What is Beto O'Rourke's function in this election? It's to show you that traditional politicians running to be president is done, right? People don't want politicians anymore. It's another reason why I love Yang so much. He is a practical professional. I really think going forward, from now on, we're going to be getting our presidents from lay people who do jobs other than politicians. I love politicians. I still want them. They should be doing nothing but advising presidents. No politician should ever run for president again. I feel strongly about that. And I think Beto O'Rourke's function is to prove that. That dude, he is so unnecessary in this race. And he's just kind of there, right? Just like Mike's mom, Karen. She's just kind of in the show, right? All right, nothing, and there's nothing wrong with her. And the same thing with Beto O'Rourke. There's nothing really wrong with him, but there's no reason for him to be there, I kind of feel like. Or the reason is very minimal, okay? All right, let's talk about Nancy. Nancy is really, really interesting character in Stranger Things. she seems like a really nice person, right? And I think she is, except how she treats Barb. Oh my gosh. Nancy is the absolute worst to her friend Barb, right? Just terrible, right? But other than that, she's great. And she's really kind. She has a good heart. She's got a little bit of courage, right? So she's not all bad. But there's a streak there. You're like, whoa. Like that's, whoa, it struck me how bad Nancy treated Barb. Who is Nancy in the 2020 primary candidates? Gillibrand, big time, right? Gillibrand has been like, she realizes she's behind Harris. She realizes she is behind Warren, and she has been saying some crazy harsh things, man. She has said some really, really harsh things, like mean girl level harsh, right? And so I really feel like Gillibrand, she is like, I'm behind. I got to gain some points, and I'm pulling out the daggers, and I'm going for it. And that's just like Nancy. I think on 9 days out of 10, Nancy's a good person, but when she goes the opposite direction, she can be really harsh. And she really did Nancy wrong. And I think there's some voters that Gillibrand absolutely abandoned in her attempt to, and those voters are on the right, in her attempt to gain ground. So I think Nancy is Gillibrand. All right, let's talk about Dustin and Lucas, all right? So in that core four, you got Mike. He's the leader of the whole deal, right? You got Will. Will gets abducted like early on, like he gets pulled into the Upside Down. And then, Mike and Dustin and Lucas are looking for him, right? So it's this core. But Dustin and Lucas are in the friend group. They don't lead. They're not the leaders, but they're not at the bottom of the pack either. Will is at the bottom of the pack, right? He actually needed all the rest of their help, right? So who is Dustin? First of all, I really like the character Dustin a lot. He's one of my favorite. He's like my second favorite. I really feel that, just because he's got this really odd charisma, but who is it? All right, it's Cory Booker. Dustin is Cory Booker, right? Now, why is Dustin Cory Booker? Well, the reason, when I see Dustin, I'm like, why is Mike the leader? Dustin is smarter than him. Dustin has, like more charisma than Mike. Why isn't Dustin the leader of the group? Same thing with Cory Booker, right? I look at him and I'm like, why is this guy off to the side, man? I really feel that Cory Booker should be ahead of where he currently is, but he's not, right? Like, he is second banana, right? He's just really not pushing to the top, right? And I think he's losing ground every day. And it's the same thing with Dustin. I love Dustin. I think Dustin should be the leader, but he ain't. And he ain't going to overtake Mike anytime soon, right? So that's my take on that, right? All right, who is Lucas? Another great character, right? Lucas is like, he's the guy in the group who's like, we shouldn't be doing this, right? And that is Elizabeth Warren, right? Elizabeth Warren is Lucas through and through. She is cautious and wise, but she's the one who's like, hey, 11, this superpowered person, we should really turn her into your mom, right? Like, doing the wise, practical, cautious thing, but really kind of a bummer in the friend group. I think that's Elizabeth Warren, right? Like, she's definitely cautious and wise, but she ain't a lot of fun, right? Like, but she is in the friend group, and guess what? Elizabeth Warren, she's in the Fast Five, man. She is at the top of the pack, and she is throwing down just like Lucas, right? I really think Warren is a really good match for Lucas, all right? All right, let's talk about two other great characters who are associated, and that is Jim and 11. So Jim is specifically, he is the sheriff in the town, okay? Now, who is Jim? So who is Jim in the 2020 presidential candidates, right? Well, it is absolutely Joe Biden, right? And here's why. Jim is serving as sheriff pretty much because everybody expects him to, right? Whenever he isn't on duty, when he's on duty, he looks great. He's got his suit on. He takes it serious. The second he is off duty, he is drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, and just eating snacks, right? And I really feel like that is Joe Biden, right? Now, he doesn't have those bad habits, but I feel like he just wants to relax. He doesn't really want, especially now, right? He's like, my name's in the book, man. Like, I was vice president to Obama. I don't need this nonsense. And I really feel like he was dragged to this specific election. I don't think Joe Biden wants to be here. I think that becomes more clear every day. And just like Jim, he does the job when he's got the uniform on, but Jim don't really want to do that job, right? He's just doing it because it's expected of him, right? And he fits the role. I think Jim in the show too, right? He's a big guy, he's tall, right? He kind of he's kind of like a leader type, and people look to him and say, it's amazing to me how much people respond to hype, right? They want somebody to look up to, literally and figuratively, right? And if that person is, will just look the part, people just feel so like calm because that person looks the part. Even though the moment they're out of that part, they're back to just being a schlub, right? And I really kind of feel that's Biden, right? Like, and it's okay to be that, right? It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's kind of right now we got a lot going on in America. I'm not sure we really get time for a candidate who don't want to be there, but that's where we're at, right? So I think Joe Biden is Jim the sheriff. All right, now who's 11? Woo! 11 is an exciting character, okay? Now in Stranger Things, 11 is this super powered girl who literally has psychic powers. She can move things with her mind. She can read minds. She can go into the upside down, right? She has telekinesis, telekinetic powers. It's pretty impressive, right? So who is 11, right? 11 is absolutely Kamala Harris. Here's why. Kamala Harris has proven to be unpredictable and more powerful than you expected. Exactly like 11. Oh yeah, right? It's a pure luck. It's absolutely perfect, right? All right. Our last two characters, okay, we're going to talk about Barb and Maxine. Let's talk about Barb. I love Barb. Barb is she's a great part of the show, okay? And she's just really, she's this redhead girl. She's a friend to Nancy, right? And in the first season, Nancy is getting involved with this boy. I'm pretty sure his name was Steve. And basically, Nancy is deciding, does she want to be a good girl or does she want to be a rebellious girl, right? And so she goes to the party, but she brings Barb along with her. It was terrible what she did to Barb. And so when Nancy goes to Barb and she's like, hey, Barb, come along to this party with me, Nancy says, no, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this thing. I don't want to be involved, right? I'm not going to intervene in your little situation. That is Tulsi Gabbard. Bart is Tulsi Gabbard, right? Tulsi Gabbard does not want to intervene. She does not want to get involved. Let's just go stand in our corner over here. That is Tulsi Gabbard to the nines. So Barb is Tulsi Gabbard. That's a pure lock, right? That absolutely connects up. Last is Maxine, okay? Maxine is a great character. She didn't even appear at all in season 1. And in season 2, I think the creators of Stranger Things are like, Mike, Will, Dustin, Lucas, a core 4, all those dudes are like, we got a lot of dudes up in here. We better get some other girls in the show, right? And so they brought in Maxine. Maxine was great. She's another character, and she was just kind of introduced into the friend group. So Maxine in season 2 is very likable and very new, right? Who's that? That's Pete Buttigieg. Very likable and very new, right? So that's it. That's my mapping of the 12 2020 U.S. primary Democrat candidates that actually still matter, mapped to the 12 most interesting, coolest characters within Stranger Things. I am so hyped to watch Stranger Things season 3, and I will meet you in the Upside Down. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.